Welcome to PhD&D on YouTube. This is the first in a three-part video series on epic level gaming in Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition. Goes along with my Moving Forth series. It was requested that I do some videos on DMing and actually running epic tier rather than just ranting on epic tier like I did. So, three-part series. This first video will cover preparation, table prep, just getting everything ready, what you need to know. Then we'll move into the next video on storylines, actual encounters, and then we'll kind of wrap up with, okay, actually running a session. I'm not going to show a video of running one, but I'm going to take you through examples of actually running a session and putting this all together. So, these videos, I'm going to try to keep them short, to the point. Here we go. Preparation for epic tier D&D. You need to know your players, and you need to know their characters. Players, you need to know what type of player they are. Are they an actor? Are they there to actually get up, act, get in character? Is this person a watcher? Do they not want to get very involved? Do you have any thinkers that like to solve puzzles? Power gamers that just want to crush stuff? Know your players along with what they like, and categorizing them like that, or categorizing them in multiple categories. How do they play? Think when you're designing, adventures or encounters, think about what they would do. Maybe they won't actually do that, but consider, okay, well, player A, I know he's going to try to do this. So how can I make that better? Not override them. Never do that. And we'll talk about that here with knowing their characters. I know most of my player characters' powers. They let me look at their character sheets. I've helped some of them design some of these characters, given them advice, but I know most of their powers. Not so that I can override them. That's wrong. If they've got a power, you want to highlight that power. You don't want to create a situation in which it can't work at all. If they have a very cheap power that's just, it's not even fair and you're already on the verge of you don't want that to be in the game at all, then occasionally letting them know ahead of time or saying, coming up with something to kind of block that is fine, occasionally. But never just know their powers so that you can get past them. Know their powers so that you can highlight them, spotlight them, give them a moment to shine. If you know a character can, for instance, scale up a giant wall, just randomly, like Climber's Claws or something, give him an opportunity to do that. If he doesn't do it, he doesn't do it. But give opportunities to spotlight your characters and your players' play styles. So know those. Have a well-developed world. That is another thing. That is another reason I recommend playing from level 1 all the way up through epic tier. You want a well-developed world behind you. You want to have plenty of NPCs, plenty of locations. At this level, these characters should not be going, by horseback from place to place. They should not be walking, across an entire countryside having to deal with bandits and whatnot. Very rarely, something like that can kind of be fun for them. I put a goblin raiding party basically on a road and just let my players blast them, and they love that. Just a quick, the goblins didn't even get a go in the encounter, so that tells you how much that was. But that kind of highlights how much of a badass they are compared to when they used to have so much trouble with monsters like that. So, very rarely, but keep in mind, this well-developed world, they're going to be able to travel place to place very quickly. My characters have either a flying airship, one crew does, and the other crew actually has a flying castle. I can talk about that some other time, but they can get around very quickly. There's also rituals in 4th edition, portals that can send them place to place instantly, so you need more than one developed area. So, once again, I recommend from playing level 1 all the way up to 30, or 1 all the way up to the epic tier. Aside from that, you also need to be prepared for yourself to be mean. You're not the nice guy anymore. You're not, as a DM, this gets into a whole other theory and philosophy, but you're not there to be their friend. You are there to make the game run, to make the game fun. So, just be prepared to be mean and tell them, they're going to have to put up with stuff. Characters can die at epic tier. It's even tougher to kill them, but they're also facing things that can kill them very easily compared to lower level monsters. So just be prepared to be mean and have to lay down the law. Next gets into table prep. How to actually physically, what you're going to prepare at your table, what you're going to play there. So, play space. You need a large play space, I think, for any game, just so you're relaxed. Tight, cramped play spaces, it's hard for me to have as good of a time as when I can, spread my stuff out. If you're using miniatures, use them. Epic tier, it's very hard not to. But just have a large play space. It reduces the stress for everyone, gives everyone their space for their drinks, food, dice, whatever. So, large play space. Next, know your maps. Know what you're going to need to use. Are you going to use dungeon tiles? Are you going to use, wet erase battle maps, dry erase board? What are you going to do? Know your maps. Know a good idea of the area you're going to be in. With that comes always knowing where your characters are going to go next. Now, you don't have to railroad characters at all. You can have a free open world, but when a session ends, you need to have an idea of where they're going to go for the next session, or where the next session is going to start. And you can do that simply by asking them out of game. Just stop maybe the party leader, the person who makes the big decisions, or if you want to ask all of them, and just say, okay, where do you think you guys are headed? Just spitball me, give me an idea. They know that you need some level of preparation. So ask them. Know where they're going to go. That way you know your maps. I always create wet erase battle maps for some pretty large scale fights, or very epic level fights like the Demon Balor I talked about. They fought on a collapsing skyscraper. That was a planned fight. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. That map had been drawn out plenty ahead of time, and whenever they got themselves to that place and in that situation, pull it out, had it ready. So you don't have to railroad with battle maps. Just have them prepared for some big fights. That way you don't break time and have to sit there and draw it out. You can do that for smaller stuff, but know your maps. Also, set the mood. That's the last thing I'm going to cover here. Set the mood for epic level. Music is a big thing that I think can aid any game. Check out, I've got some playlists where we've talked about different combat music, different settings music. You can check those out on my channel, or you can just Google music, look for it, but have some epic music to really get them in the mindset of what they're doing, because at this level they are just that, epic. I'll say that all the time. You just need to have the mood set for them to feel like something is going to go down. So, once again, just a quick recap. Know your players, know their characters. Have a well-developed world. Be prepared to be mean. Have a large play space, know your maps, and set the mood. Those are the big things you need to remember. Now the next video I'm going to go into storylines and encounters and how to actually deal with those. And like I said, the final video will be wrapping it up, putting it together, giving you some tips and tricks to actually run a game. So thanks for watching, and look forward to the next video.